All right, here we go. We are going to start by heading on into section number 2. And this section is going to be called algebraic expressions. So get out your notes, put this heading up at the top, and again, pause the video anytime you need to. The first statement we will always begin our notes with is your learning target for the day. And so write down the words I can. And once you've got that written down, here's what our learning target is today. Today, what you're going to do is be able to translate between words and algebraic expressions. And let me get my pen on here, and then we'll go. Translate between words and algebraic expressions. So that's what we're doing, words into algebra, taking words and putting it into math. So what I want you to do, once you've got your learning target down, is make a big old chart with 4 columns. Put each of these math operation symbols at the start of each of the columns. And once you've got that box, by all means, pause the video, get this created, and then we're going to start adding some words. All right, here we go. First thing you see, whenever you see that symbol, you probably think of the word add or plus when we read it. So those 2 are pretty obvious. Then as you start thinking through some of the other ones in math language, you'll often see the word sum, S-U-M, as well as, now there are some other ones that'll work here. So as you start thinking, you might think of phrases like more than, something like a total, increase, or to increase by. Let's see. Add plus sum, more than total increase. Get those ones written down for sure. And tomorrow when we go through this, we'll check and see if you came up with some other phrases that indicate the math operation of add. All right, its counterpart, or an inverse operation to adding, is what we have in this next column. And word-wise, I want you to think of words that basically are antonyms here. So add, I think of subtract. When I see the word plus, I think of the counterpart minus. Mathematically, when we say the word sum to mean add, we often see the word difference to indicate subtraction. So I'm going to put difference here. More than, here's a good easy counterpart, would be less than. Total. I'm not so sure if there's a good word to counteract that one. But definitely for increase, across from there, you can put the word decrease. Let me know if you come up with other ones for that column, and we'll go from there. Under the next one, you probably are thinking these 2 words initially, multiply or multiplication, a form of that word. When we read it out loud, we often say the word times. Product is another good word that indicates multiply. Just trying to think if there's some other ones here. These lists are probably going to be a little bit smaller than your first 2. And I would say here, might think that's a product. Sometimes a specific one might be something like double, or the phrase twice, which would indicate a specific multiply by 2 kind of a thing. Same thing with like triple, quadruple, those kinds of things. I think we'll leave that column as is now. Move over to this one. In this column, first word that probably comes to mind is divide. I'm going to put quotient here. You'll notice I skipped a line just because I really wanted to put quotient right across from product, because I feel like those go hand in hand. I'm not sure if there's a direct counterpart here on this one. I will add, though, sometimes you might see the word like to separate into groups or to split into groups, and as long as we're splitting or separating into equal-sized groups, those would be good words to indicate that. Also, I'm just going to put fraction here in this column. You know, when we write fractions, that bar that splits the numerator from the denominator is an operation that means divide. So I'd like to put that there. Hey, I just thought of another one in the times column. Let's put the word of there. That's a good one to have there too. All right, if we think of any other ones, we will go ahead and add to our list. Now, I don't want you to write these words down, but I do want you to watch and notice how I'm going to tackle these and translate. Okay, I read this first one, the product of 12 and k, and I see the word product, and immediately I'm thinking multiply. I'm not going to use the times symbol anymore, the x, because now that we're into algebra and algebraic expressions, I don't want to confuse that x as a variable as to times as a multiplication and as an operation. Of here is just simply used within the sentence. It's not indicating another math operation. Here's the word 12, which will represent numerically as 12 that way, and k. So we can write it like this. The product of 12 and k looks like this. Or we can also simply just write 12k. We don't even have to put an operation symbol in between there. We can simply just write 12k. Look at this one. The difference of y and 2. Difference means subtract. Y comes in front, 2 goes here. That's the difference of y and 2. It is very, very important that you don't think you can interchange those and put the 2 first. It doesn't work. Last one here, quotient of k and 5. Quotient is telling me divide. Make sure, again, the order is important. K goes in front, 5 goes in the back. K divided by 5. That's the quotient of k and 5. You could write this as a fraction as well. That certainly works. You could write it old school, where you're writing the division like this, k divided by 5 this way. That also works. Alrighty, quotient means division. Now, I need you to grab your pencil again and write down, I really want you to write down tricky ones, because we have 2 of them, and we have to be very careful when we translate these into algebraic terminology or symbolism. The tricky ones are these 2. More than and less than. You're saying, well, what's so tricky about these? Well, because of the way the phrasing of this is, and I'm going to get a little Englishy here, what comes first is actually the object, and that is what's being acted upon. And so for now, just in your notes, I'm going to put a little note here about, watch, about flipping the order. This is what makes it tricky. And again, pause if you need to. Why? Well, here's what I want you to do. I really want you to actually write these 2 examples in your notes, because I want to illustrate to you why they're tricky. And I also say, read it twice. Read it twice. 7 less than the number b. 7 less than the number b. Less than we put in our list, and we said, hey, that stands for a subtraction. You're correct. But what are you subtracting? I'm saying it's 7 less than. I'm taking away 7. 7 is what has to go back here. I'm subtracting 7 from, and I'm taking it away from this variable represented, or the value represented by b. This translates to b minus 7. If you wrote 7 minus b, that is incorrect. So when you see that phrase less than, we have to watch out for that. All right, let's look at another one. 3 more than the product of 7 and a. 3 more than, so right away I'm thinking plus. You're right. But how many more than? 3 more than. So I'm adding 3. I'm adding 3. Technically, you should put that in the back. You're adding 3 to what? At the beginning, we have the product of 7 and a. 7 and a, product means multiply. That you can put a dot